the question is, BIVOL and Ramirez dropping on November the 5th. Is this a suggestion that we're going to get fireworks? Is BIVOL going to turn into a two-handed monster against Mexican-style Ramirez? Well, we'll see. It's in Abu Dhabi. The Middle East are really getting the bug for this boxing thing. There was supposed to be a purse bid a few days ago. It looks like they've made a deal. And it looks like MATCHROOM, being there the only name on the flyer, will be hosting the event. I'm sure Golden Boy will have some input. With Ramirez stepping in the ring over the cruiserweight limit last time out, I believe. It will all depend if he can impose all that physicality on BIVOL. But from a technical standpoint of pure boxing, you could see BIVOL boxing rings around Ramirez, couldn't you? And you could equally see Ramirez using the weight to make it really difficult. So it's quite interesting from that perspective, it is. So all's good with MATCHROOM. Everything goes to plan. Good day's work, eh? And then, why would Lou Dibella bid on an eliminator between Joshua Buatsi and Jean Pascal? Lou doesn't promote the Haitian Canadian.
I'm about to send this Haitian on permanent vacation.
Yvonne Michel promotes his fights in Canada, I'm assuming. In America, he's fought with the PBC, Tom Brown. I haven't seen Lou Dibella in the picture. Maybe in some of his earlier fights. And what's the speculation that he's done a deal with Frank Warren, so the fight will end up on BT? What's that all about? Why are Dibella Promotions doing purse bids and they don't have a broadcaster? Are you going to put it on YouTube, Lou? He's not with the PBC no more. He had to do a deal with Bob Arum to get Eddie Hearn out of the picture so he could make the Kambosos Devin Haney fight. And it's obvious not obvious, but the suspicion is there's a conspiracy. And the conspiracy here is between, if it's true, is between Frank and Lou Dibella. They'll probably come out and say, no conspiracy against Eddie. And there's no proof that the fight will end up on BT, but it's got to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. And it's not going to end up at MATCHROOM. It's either going to end up on Top Rank or BT. They're saying there's a deal that's been done between Dibella and Frank Warren. And then some people are looking at the symmetry of the purse bid. Eddie bid $875,000. Lou Dibella bid $975,000. $100,000 exactly different. Are they sending a message to Eddie? Are they getting wind of what Eddie bids and said, okay, we'll up it by that much and screw him over? So Buatsi won't be fighting the eliminator on MATCHROOM regardless anyway. That won't be happening. What will Eddie Hearn's response be? I don't know. I think he's going to be calculated and maybe not throw too much accusations around. Buatsi gets the higher end of the split, being he's the higher ranked contender. And we know Lou Dibella doesn't like Eddie, and we know Frank Warren certainly don't like Eddie, and Eddie don't like them, so
them not like me, I mean I like them.
No smoke without fire. Even if they're in denial, there's no smoke without fire. Doesn't it seem a bit random? Buatsi versus Pascal. Why would Lou Dibella Entertainment throw their name in the pot? Where did Lou get the money? Lou ain't doing no promotions out there. Where did Lou get the money? I'm not saying he's broke, but he's going to take $900,000 out of his personal stash to make this fight, and he doesn't have a network? Where Lou get the money? Lou get the money from BT and Frankie, baby. Eddie, get an extra pair of eyes out there. I mean, they don't like you. I didn't realize it was fight week for Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz. But yeah, it's fight week, and a few people have said it hasn't got much buzz, seeing as it's fight week. It may pick up from the final press conference and Wayne. It may pick up from there. But if we're going to judge this fight and how much pay-per-view it's going to do, then more than likely, no, it's not a big fight. But in terms of being a barometer for current heavyweight contenders, it's a good gauge. Ortiz had a lower tier WBA belt early in his pro career, and he got popped for illegal PED usage. And he's had 2 cracks at Deontay Wilder's WBC title. He was unfortunate to a degree in the first one. Ortiz got floored in the 5th round. He got back up and had Wilder in all sorts of trouble through lengthy periods of the 7th round. All 3 judges scored it a 10-8 round. I didn't know until this fight here, but apparently the New York State Athletic Commission, at their discretion, can examine a fighter if he's showing signs of distress. Apparently they was inspecting Wilder's face. Luis Ortiz says, well, he wasn't cut or anything. Why were they inspecting his face? and he did get a few extra seconds, which could have been crucial. Anyway, Ortiz ultimately wasn't good enough and he was stopped in the 10th round. They had a rematch in 2019. The first fight was in 2018, and this time Ortiz was stopped in 7. They were the 2 biggest tests of Ortiz's career, and he failed on both occasions. And apart from Deontay Wilder, in all honesty, his best opponents have been people like Malik Scott, Dave Allen, a faded Tony Thompson, Bryant Jennings, that was a good win at the time, and Charles Martin, you know, who had him on the canvas and was up on the scorecards. But he's definitely a hard-punching, capable southpaw. I will give him that. Andy Ruiz, obviously, he stopped Joshua in 7. Big upset. One of the biggest upsets in heavyweight history in 2019. Lost the belts in his first defense against Joshua in the same year. Came back with a decision over Chris Arreola. He was actually on the floor against Arreola in round 2, which shocked a lot of people. But he won clearly. Ideally, he should have been crowned, in my opinion, heavyweight champion in 2016, when I thought he beat Joseph Parker. But it was in New Zealand and they scored it a majority decision win for Parker. Andy has the faster hands. He's a couple of inches shorter than Luis Ortiz, and Ortiz has the advantages in reach. I haven't checked Andy's record against southpaws, how many he's fought, if any. Will Ortiz's lefty stance give Andy any issues? We'll see. Ortiz's legs look dead against Charles Martin in terms of foot speed. Ruiz doesn't have fast feet himself. I believe he can get in and out though and counter with the quicker hands and get a decision over Ortiz. If he stopped Ortiz, that would be a great result. Andy's talking about fighting Deontay Wilder. Well, he needs to look good here and he needs the W. Until the Arreola fight, there was no signs of fragility around the whiskers for Andy Ruiz. Yeah, Joshua had him on the floor, but Joshua has a huge knockout percentage, and if anything, Ruiz did magnificent to get off the floor from that combination that dropped him. And how he took the follow-up right hand, I never know, and that's what won him the fight, really. I can't see a stoppage, but you never know, it could happen. I'm picking Andy Ruiz. He's a little younger. Well, I say a little, he's 11 years younger than Ortiz. Ortiz is 43, Ruiz is 32. Ortiz is a tough old dude, and he hung in there against Charles Martin when the fight looked like it was a lost cause. And eventually he landed the finishing punches and got the stoppage win, and basically extended his career at world title contender level. There's no real good excuse. Neither man is a champion where delays and other administration issues can delay title fights. Why has Ruiz only fought once since losing his titles to Joshua in December 2019? And Luis Ortiz, since November 2019, has fought twice against Flores, which was a ridiculous fight, and the Charles Martin fight. I guess since they're both inactive, ring rust should cancel itself out, because they're both going to be rusty if that's the case. But the inactivity, you would have to say, is going to affect Luis Ortiz more as the older fighter. I don't expect a bunch of crybaby fanboys to know any better. But this is the second time now. In a matter of days, I believe, I've had the same opposition to a similar topic. So, on Twitter, I tweeted, Usyk, Canelo and Crawford are the best fighters in the world. The first comment, well, one of the first comments, the disrespect to BIVOL continues as usual. And he's got a bunch of people supporting him. I'm disrespecting BIVOL. Now, since you want to discuss pound for pound, let's take it back. Let's take it back. The most recognized pound for pound ever, Sugar Ray Robinson. Although, you could argue that they started using pound for pound for Henry Armstrong. Some people say before Henry Armstrong. Whatever, yeah? Right? So, Sugar Ray Robinson is pound for pound the best fighter in the sport. It's 1952. He's already been undisputed welterweight champion. He won the middleweight championship 5 times. He goes up to light heavy, concedes 18 pounds. 18 pounds. Sugar Ray Robinson wasn't even a legit middleweight. These days, weighing in a day before, he would have probably been a light middle. He fights Joey Maxim, making the second defense of the light heavyweight title. He won the title from Freddie Mills in the UK. Now, before we go any further, right? Now, I know you don't know anything about boxing because you're dumb, right? Joey Maxim's boxing resume pisses all over Dimitri Bivol's resume at the same points where they both beat the pound for pound number one. Pisses all over it. Don't even do the research. You don't know how to anyway, right? You're probably going to use Maxim's losses against him to somehow build an argument that Bivol's got a better resume. But he doesn't. He doesn't. Don't embarrass yourself. It was a hot arena. The referee had to be pulled out in the 10th round and replaced. Sugar Ray Robinson was ahead on points, but it was desperately hot, and the exhaustion got to Sugar Ray, and at the end of the 13th, he couldn't continue. Maxim retains his title. Does Joey Maxim go to the top of the pound-for-pound rankings? No, of course he doesn't. It's ridiculous. It's his second defense of the title. Maxim had beat the likes of Bob Murphy, who was a favourite to beat him, Freddie Mills, who he took the title from in the UK, Gus Lesnovich, former light heavyweight champion himself. He fought Ezra Charles about 4 or 5 times. Ezra was just too good for him. And he had to fight Archie Moore 4 or 5 times. I'm not even sure if he got a decision over either of them, right? But he's got wins over Jimmy Bivens, Bob Satterfield. He takes on heavyweights and wins, the likes of Pat Valentino. He's fought Jersey Joe Walcott a few times. He won one of them, but he lost the series. He won one of them and lost the series. These are heavyweights. You know, he's dropped decisions against Black Murderers Row fighters like Lloyd Marshall. The resume is not comparable. It's not even comparable. Winning and losing to good heavyweights like Curtis Shepard. Very good fighter. Resume's not comparable, my friend. But Joey doesn't go number 1 to the pound for pound list because he beats Sugar Ray Robinson. It's Ray who has the historical accomplishments. Former welterweight champion, middleweight champion. So you basically think one win can wipe out 10 years of good things you've done at world level. This is your logic. Why should Bivol be number 1 pound for pound if Joey Maxim wasn't number 1 pound for pound after beating Sugar Ray Robinson? So is Bivol ahead of Alexander Usyk, former undisputed cruiserweight champion, and has beat the unified heavyweight champion twice? Is he ahead of him? Has Usyk ever beat a pound for pound ranked fighter? No. But his body of work is still better than Bivol's. Just because Bivol beat Canelo, his body of work is still better than Bivol's. Robert Garcia wants Anthony Joshua to hold next camp in California. AJ got decisions to make. Robert said it was difficult spending 4 months away from where he was. And what it is, his gym is set up there. To get the best out of Robert, you're going to have to be in his gym, is what I'm figuring. I don't know. I don't know what AJ wants out of boxing. All I know is Lennox relocated to the Kronk. Vladimir Klitschko did it. Other British fighters, Dennis Andrews, he relocated to the Kronk after losing his belts to Tommy Hearns and won the belts back in America against Tony Willis. He won the WBA belt back. He lost the WBC belt to Tommy. I'm doing all this off the top. Nigel Benn, after losing to Michael Watson, relocated and trained in America. And he didn't have a whole load of money to do the relocation. He was still on the come up. And he was in some rough areas. He was talking about it. AJ can afford to relocate. It depends what he wants out of the sport. Maybe have a couple of fights out there. I wouldn't mind seeing AJ maybe take a year and do the American thing. Why not? Eddie can set a couple of cards up for AJ to fight in America. Don't have to be no stadium fights. Who gives a shit? Here's Lloyd Hunnigan.
Hear from him now. He's about to have a chat with Harry Carpenter. He's a happy-looking man.
Here's the champion with me, Lloyd. That was some job you did there. You've never done a better job in your life than that, have you?
Well, I was in the best condition in my life, Harry, because I went to America. I told my manager I want to go to America to train from now on because I can get the right kind of training, the right kind of sparring. I've been sparring with a champion in the world for this fight. You can't get that sort of sparring in England. I was fit than I've ever been in my life. I was ready to eat that guy alive. I was ready.
He was training with Buster Drayton, former IBF light middleweight champion. He used to be Marvin Hagler's chief sparring partner at one period in Marvin's career. I don't think it would hurt his career to take a year in that environment and change the energy. Could be a good step, but if he's not feeling that in his heart, he's just going to do what he's going to do. Here's what it is. It looks like a lot of people have misquoted what Robert Garcia said about Joshua's mindset. Usyk was stronger mentally in the last few rounds than AJ, but he didn't say AJ was weak mentally, as a lot of people have titled in their videos and their articles. These clickbaiters. And it does make a big difference when you're misquoting people out of turn. Sky are doing a good job. Domestic boxing, they're holding it down. very well. Liam Smith versus Hassan Joaquinho is a great main event. AZEEZ versus Shakan Pitters is an excellent chief support. Natasha Jonas is defending her super welterweight titles against an opponent with a 15-0 record. That don't mean she's good, but you know, it looks good. Fraser Clark is back on the stage again, doing his thing. My only reservations about that, his opponent is a to be announced, so it looks like they either haven't got an opponent yet or they're trying to finalize one. But it's early days for Fraser. A few more unbeaten prospects on there. Nathan Corliss, son of Noel Corliss. If you think Frank Bruno's got punching power, I call this punching power. Before all the time. Adam Azim is on there. And it's a good card. It's a very good card. Liam has to watch out for Joaquinho's power. He can hit. We saw what he done to Sam Eggington. That could be an exciting fight. But Liam should win it. It's a fight Liam should win. The AZEEZ Shakan Pitters fight. The British light heavyweight title is on the line. But Shakan is no slouch at 17-1. AZEEZ is 16-0. Shakan is no slouch. He's a 6'6" light heavy. You can use that reach pretty well. His punching power could be a little underrated. Can hit a little, although he's only got 6 stoppages. He was beaten by Craig Richards. That's his only loss. Could be an interesting fight, this one here. Very interesting. I'll pick AZEEZ. I'll pick Dan to win that. But this ain't no cherry pick. It's not a voluntary. This was mandated by the British Boxing Board of Control. And it's a very good matchup. For those not familiar with this card, it's flew under the radar a little. But if you get time that you check this out, it's going to be a good card. I believe it will be. I'm not going to be as charitable as Lamont Brewster. I want Deontay Wilder to inflict severe damage on Robert piece of shit HELENIUS. Him and the Salins. I don't want to throw Kelly or Nice under the bus. I like them, but their dad, it was on one of their cards. Brewster lost his eyesight in that fight. That was his last fight. It was in Germany. Brewster's wife got a phone call earlier. Somebody said, be careful, they're going to try something shifty out there. His wife didn't pass that on to him because, look, he's in Germany. He's not going to turn back and say he's not fighting, right? He needs the money like we all need our money if we work for it. She doesn't want to put the negative in his head. You know, fighters are already vulnerable trying to do the checks and balances so nothing can go wrong in a fight, and telling her husband that is going to do what? They started gloving up with no inspection. No one from Brewster's team, no officials, no nothing. When Brewster found this out, he said, what's going on? He said, since he's started boxing at 7, he's never been in a fight where gloves haven't been inspected. They said, we're using Austrian rules. And the fight was sanctioned by the Austrian whatever board. He said he's not going to fight, and they said, well, if you're not going to fight, we're not going to take you, your wife, or your team back home, and it's miles away from Checkpoint Charlie, and they're going to sue him as well. He went through with the fight, and he said that HELENIUS' hands felt like marble. The fight was stopped in the 8th when he was cut. He went to see the doctor, and the doctor said in 40 years, or whatever time period, he's never seen anything like that. The cuts were not like the cuts that he's used to treating in boxing. And his iris and his cornea were both cut. So he lost the sight in his eye. I do remember him getting some of his sight back. He has partial sight. He has strong faith in God. So you'd be surprised if you have faith in something powerful, what it can do. But it has to be true faith. And then they said that he did it himself to try and avoid getting sued or anything like that. And that he's going to have to get a lawyer from Germany to go up against the most powerful lawyers or whatever they had. You know, we're dealing with Saulin's big, powerful operation. And yeah, basically he screwed him over. And he said he saw HELENIUS years after at some event they were talking. He said, aren't you apologetic? My eye, I'm blind, man. And like, he didn't give a shit. You know, and like, Brewster is so close to his faith in God that he can't get mad about it. And he can't show HELENIUS any real, I want to fuck you up for that, because he's rationalizing that this is God's plan to make you be a warrior without the gloves, and you'll go on to do what you were meant to do through the power of the Lord. But me, I believe in God. I've reestablished my faith. I do believe in God, and I am who I am. He said he wants Wilder to win. He wants Wilder to put it on him. Yeah, he did. But me, I want Wilder to fuck him up. Brewster was telling HELENIUS when he saw him after, I got kids, I got a family, I got a life. And HELENIUS showed no remorse, repentance, no nothing. And I guess that's how some boxers are made up. I would love Wilder to fucking do some serious damage. I really would. What a piece of shit.